It took Samsung a couple years to come up with the next generation of their earbuds, and it took me a couple days to find out what's right and all the things that are wrong with these new earbuds. Let's start with the new design of the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro and why it probably makes sense that Samsung made this change. So look, a redesign is a bold move that might upset some fans, but sometimes all you need to improve sales is a new design. The Galaxy Buds 3 Pro now have these stems that, besides change for the sake of change to improve sales, have a practical reason to exist. You see, these stems will supposedly improve the call quality just because the microphones are now closer to the mouth and will pick up the voice in a more directed way. I'm actually myself a fan of the last gen Buds 2 Pro's discreet design, but we'll see if the microphone quality actually holds up. Having said that, I love the bold design of the new earbuds, especially this freaking metallic silver is just amazing. So both this color and these sharp edges make them stand out to me. But the case also has a different design, especially the new glass top really makes a statement. But if you're naturally a dropper, you might want to protect it with a clip case. You can use the links in the description to get one. But actually, I just showed you the case of the Buds 3, because from the outside, they're identical. But as you might have seen in the unboxing video, the clip case has some flaws. So for starters, at the bottom of the case, there's this button for manual pairing, which is especially useful for older devices or non-Galaxy ones. But look, with the clip case, you don't have access to the damn thing. How on earth did Samsung miss this? I'd really like to know. So you might say, okay, then I'll just take the case out of the clip case to do the manual pairing, right? Well, the other thing is that the damn thing is nearly impossible to remove. I mean, I've tried a few times and I haven't been able to remove it. So either I'm doing something wrong or it's just not well built. Very protective, no doubt, but probably a permanent solution. So keep that in mind. But if I find some alternatives, I'll add the links. And in terms of different color options, they come in white and silver, with the silver being definitely more sporty looking. So I'd say I'm really impressed with the look of the Buds 3 Pro, despite not being a fan of earbuds with stems, and they definitely feel premium in my hands. They also come with touch controls that work really well, so no physical controls. This includes swiping and pinching actions, but they feel just a little incomplete, which I'll talk about in a minute. And as you can see, the Buds 3 Pro are kind of unique in the sense that they come with these blade lights. But just so you know, they don't serve any practical purpose, and they don't react to music or anything like that. But they have 3 modes: blinking, fade in and out, and steady. By the way, I'm Ryan and I'd like to ask you to subscribe to the channel and share this video so you can help others learn more about these earbuds and the problems with them. You can have the best sounding earbuds, but if the fit and comfort are not there, you'll find yourself constantly adjusting them, or worse, not using them at all. So usually right after getting a new pair of earbuds, I always switch the ear tips with the bigger ones. And that's exactly what I did with the Buds 3 Pro. During the past few days, I've done a battery test for long hours, done sprinting, did weightlifting, and just did other daily activities while wearing them. And in all of those situations, comfort was there and it didn't disappoint, but it also didn't last long. Especially during the battery test, I got a little nauseous after a few hours with the ANC on. But hear me out, I did realize that if I put back the medium-sized ear tips, they're instantly more comfortable, especially with the ANC on, you feel less pressure. But regardless, not once did they get dislodged. But the large ear tips can definitely give you a more secure fit. So if you wear small, then medium might be more stable. If you wear medium, then large might be more stable. You'd only know if you tried it yourself. But there is a trade-off here. They become a little uncomfortable and I personally couldn't wear them more than a couple of hours comfortably. There's a second trade-off that I'll get to in a second. Now let's talk about the surprising noise controls. So the Buds 3 Pro have active noise cancellation, ambient mode, and adaptive mode. But before we get into the details, I want to remind you that active noise cancellation is only half the equation. The other half is passive noise cancellation, which means a secure and a snug fit is essential. So that brings us back to the ear tips. When I immediately changed the ear tips and tested the ANC, I was really impressed by it. But after further testing, I realized it is the passive noise cancellation that really helped with blocking out the noise. But the actual ANC is just good. Nothing amazing, just fine. So the noise cancellation is good at getting rid of lower frequencies, while it's not fit, perhaps with the larger ear tips, can block out the higher frequencies better. All right, now let's talk about this adaptive noise control. So my impression was that when we turn on the adaptive noise control, it turns on the noise cancellation all the way, and then, you know, based on the environment, based on the surroundings and the noise around you, it kind of adapts to that, so it changes, brings it up and down. But so this is my impression right now, based on my experience. When you turn on the adaptive noise control, it's like the noise control is kind of on, but not all the way. The intensity is kind of like in the middle to low, and then at the same time you can hear your surroundings a little bit. So it's like a mix of both. Maybe in some situations it's good if you know, during a public transit or something. But otherwise, for example, right now at the gym, when I turn it on, it's really annoying to hear the music and my own music at the same time. It's weird. So I just turned on the active noise cancellation all the way, full intensity, and with the bigger ear tips, it's really good. The noise, passive and active noise cancellation is great. The ambient mode is also pretty good, close to a natural sound, but not to the point that you're not gonna know you're wearing your earbuds. Because remember that ambient mode means that what you hear comes from what the earbuds microphones pick up. So yes, I have mixed feelings about the adaptive mode, but there is a time and place for each of these modes. For example, if you're walking down the street, the adaptive mode might be more helpful and even safer than the ANC. But if it's windy, you're going to hear the least amount of noise or wind on the ANC mode, but it won't be completely gone. And speaking of safety, there's a voice detection and siren detection, which upon detecting either one, they'll switch to the ambient mode and will lower the media volume for a few seconds. I've tested the voice detection and there's no problem with it, except if you remember earlier in the video, I said the touch controls feel a little incomplete. For example, I would have really liked to be able to turn this voice detection feature on and off directly on the earbuds rather than using the app every time. And perhaps my most favorite feature of these earbuds is the voice commands. So typically earbuds or headphones give you access to Bixby or Google Assistant or the other ones. But while Buds 3 Pro earbuds support Bixby, they have these voice commands that allow you to answer calls and control music and volume. So here's a demonstration. Volume up, volume down. So as you can see, it works really fast and you don't need to yell at it. Though there was an instance once that I was talking with someone and it went to the previous song. So for whatever reason, it heard me saying previous song. Now, before we get into the sound quality and my verdict on that, let's get a little technical about the sound quality and these earbuds hardware so you'd know what you're buying. But I'll try to explain in simple terms. So the Buds 3 Pro support 24-bit 96 kHz audio. They have a two-way speaker and a flat tweeter. So a two-way speaker, what's that mean? That means there's a woofer and tweeter to handle different parts of the audio spectrum. So we have a separation of responsibility, so things can potentially sound more clear. And unlike a very common dome-shaped design, this flat design of the tweeter helps in producing a more even and precise high-frequency response. This means that the sound remains clear and detailed even at higher volumes, and listeners can enjoy nuanced details in their music without distortion. And the flat tweeter can also help in providing a wider soundstage, making the audio feel more immersive. But what you might not know about these is that they also have a dual amp system, which ensures that each of these drivers is powered independently, optimizing their performance. But this dual amp system has a cost, as it needs more power, ultimately affecting the battery life. So all these sound amazing, right? Well, on paper, sure. But in real life, I'm struggling to accept the clearness and level of balance. I definitely hear imbalances and don't quite enjoy or get the most out of vocals, especially, and things like snares. Fortunately though, the EQ presets can make a difference, and I'm pretty sure I'll get a lot of comments that go like, how's the bass? And my answer would be the bass is not too boomy, and I'm glad it's not. But again, the bass boost preset can make a big difference. But I do believe the way they are, they're very good at minimizing distortion at high volumes. But I just wanted to remind you that sound quality directly affects discomfort. Remember, while loudness is very important to a lot of us, the real deal is how clear you can hear things and enjoy at the lowest possible volume levels. This is what allows us to listen to our headphones for long hours without getting much ear fatigue and damage to our hearing. So a less imbalanced sound means less fatigue and more comfort after a couple hours. Now that 24-bit audio that Samsung's been focusing on a lot is another thing worth talking about a little bit. So what you need to know is that unless both your audio and the device you're using support the 24-bit audio, you're not going to hear it. Even if the audio is 24 bits and you have an older phone, you still can't hear the 24-bit and it gets downscaled to 16 bits. But if you have a phone like the S24 Ultra or S23 Ultra and some other recent ones, you're going to be hearing it in the native 24 bits. And I'm not sure, but I don't believe Spotify streams in 24 bits, so you'd have to be selective here. I think Amazon Music has 24-bit songs, so use the link in the description to join. Now let's do a mic test, and this time to help you focus, it's just audio. You're listening to Ryan from Ryan's Tech. On this channel, we aim to give you the most authentic and unfiltered tech videos. This includes smartwatch, smart ring, phone, headphones, earbuds, and other review videos. But we also have other kinds of videos, such as TikToks, unboxing, tips and tricks, and comparison videos. We also have a Patreon that you can join to help me fund our next year for the most authentic review and some other benefits. I promise you it's worth it. So there's this thing that keeps happening. When I take out the earbuds, the media sometimes keeps playing. The other thing is that when the media pauses, or if the media pauses, I should say, when I put them back in, it doesn't start. This isn't a problem per se, but rather a feature I'd like to see. This feature is only available for removing one earbud. Another disappointing thing is that, again, we don't have multi-point connectivity on a pair of premium earbuds, unless you have some other recent Galaxy devices. I think there's a limit to how far you can push the ecosystem narrative, and beyond that, it's just absurd. No premium codecs are supported. Now look, codec is not everything that matters, but I know a lot of folks who, rightfully so, would love to see other options. For example, the current Samsung scalable codec only optimizes audio quality for Samsung devices. So remember that when it comes to battery life, it's really your usage pattern that affects it. But I did a battery test, and to do this test, I turned on the ANC and made sure that they're at 100%. Then I listened to music and watched content non-stop. Halfway through, they got really uncomfortable, so I changed the ear tips back to the default ones, and this didn't really affect the battery test since it took me a couple seconds. Finally, I was able to get 6.5 hours from these earbuds. Honestly, I'm just scratching my head because they're not supposed to last this long, especially with the ANC on and the fact that they have that dual amp system. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a thorough battery test for an upcoming video, but in the meantime, watch this video next.